A CEO on his phone froze when a little girl made this unexpected request. A story about power, perspective, and what truly matters. He was used to closing million-dollar deals without blinking. Standing in a quiet hotel lobby, the billionaire CEO scrolled through his phone, drowning in notifications, power, and pressure. Marcus Caldwell's fingers moved with practiced efficiency, approving acquisitions, dismissing emails, reshaping markets with a single tap. The marble floors gleamed beneath his Italian leather shoes. Crystal chandeliers cast fractured light across his tailored suit. He was untouchable, unreachable, exactly how he'd built his empire. Then a tiny hand tugged his suit. The little girl couldn't have been more than 7. Her clothes were clean but worn, her dark hair pulled back in a lopsided ponytail. Her eyes were red from crying, her voice barely above a whisper. She wasn't asking for money. She wasn't begging for food. "Mister," she said, her small fingers still clutching the fabric of his jacket. "Can you help me find my dad?" Marcus felt his breath catch. In that moment, the man who owned everything, penthouses, portfolios, entire companies, realized he was missing the one thing this child desperately wanted. Not wealth, not success, not control, just presence, just time, just someone who would stop long enough to see her. And the answer he gave would change both their lives forever. "Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me right now. Truly, in this rushing world where we're all so busy scrolling, running, achieving, it means the world to me that you've chosen to spend these next few moments right here. I'm curious, where are you watching from today? Are you tucked away somewhere quiet? Or are you sneaking this story in during a busy day? Maybe you're halfway across the world from me, or maybe we're closer than we think. Drop a comment and let me know. I love hearing where this little community of ours stretches to. And how are you? I mean, really, how's your heart today? I hope you're being kind to yourself. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet, I want to personally invite you to join our family here. I share stories like this one regularly. Stories that I hope will make you feel something, think something, maybe even see the world a little differently. That subscribe button right below? It's your way of saying, save me a seat. And I promise, there's always room for you here. It also helps me continue creating these stories, and I'm so grateful for your support. So, shall we step into that hotel lobby together? Because something happened between Marcus and that little girl. Something that started with a simple question and unraveled into a truth neither of them expected. And I think, perhaps, it's a truth we all need to hear. Marcus Caldwell hadn't looked a child in the eye in 3 years. Not since the custody hearing. Not since his ex-wife's lawyer had painted him as a man who loved his company more than his own daughter. Not since 8-year-old Sophie had stood in that courtroom and, when asked where she wanted to live, had quietly said, "With Mom. Dad's always working anyway." The truth had cut deeper than any hostile takeover. Now here he was, staring down at this lost little girl whose trembling hand still gripped his jacket, and all he could see was Sophie's face. The same uncertainty. The same desperate hope that an adult, any adult, would choose to care. "What's your name?" Marcus heard himself ask, his phone finally lowering to his side. "Lily." Her voice was small but steady. "My dad told me to wait by the fountain while he checked us in. But that was, I don't know how long ago. I can't find him, and the lady at the desk said I couldn't wait there anymore and—" Her words tumbled out faster, panic rising like water threatening to breach a dam. Marcus knelt down, his $1,000 suit creasing against the marble. Up close, he could see the butterfly clip barely holding her ponytail together. The small backpack decorated with hand-drawn stars and marker. The way she kept glancing toward the revolving doors as if her father might materialize any second. "Hey, Lily. Look at me." He waited until her eyes met his. "We're going to find your dad, okay? I promise." It was a promise he had no business making. He had a board meeting in 20 minutes, 3 continents waiting on his decisions. A reputation built on never being late, never being soft, never being vulnerable. But something about the way she exhaled, the way her shoulders dropped just slightly in relief, made the empire he'd built feel suddenly, terrifyingly small. "Okay," she whispered and placed her small hand in his. Across the lobby, Victoria Chun had been watching the entire exchange. As the hotel's guest relations manager, she'd already tried to help the girl twice. But Lily had shrunk away from her uniform and official questions. Children were unpredictable that way. Sometimes they trusted the least likely person in the room. And Marcus Caldwell, with his designer scowl and his emotional fortress, seemed about as likely as anyone to win a child's trust. Yet here he was, kneeling on the floor, phone abandoned, speaking to Lily like she was the only person in the world. Victoria approached carefully, her heels clicking softly. Mr. Caldwell. She'd checked him in herself yesterday, had recognized him immediately. I've been trying to locate Lily's father. He checked in about 40 minutes ago, room 847, but he's not answering the phone or the door. Marcus stood, but kept Lily's hand in his. What's his name? David Morrison. According to the registration, he's here for. Victoria paused, glancing at Lily, then continued quietly. He's here for a medical consultation. St. Catherine's Hospital is just 2 blocks away. Something shifted in Marcus's expression. Understanding, perhaps. Or recognition. St. Catherine's specialized in pediatric oncology. Lily tugged his hand. Is my dad okay? And there it was, the question that revealed everything. This wasn't a father who had abandoned his daughter in a lobby. This was a father who was probably sitting in a hospital corridor right now, receiving news no parent should ever have to hear alone, making decisions about his child's life while she waited innocently for him to return. Marcus Caldwell, who had spent 15 years learning to lock away every inconvenient emotion, felt something crack inside his chest. Your dad is going to be fine, he said, the lie coming easily because the truth was too heavy for her to carry. But I think he might need our help finding you. Victoria, can you take us to room 847? Victoria nodded, but her dark eyes held a question. Why are you doing this? You of all people? Marcus didn't have an answer. Or rather, he had too many answers. All of them connected to a daughter who no longer believed he knew how to show up when it mattered. As they walked toward the elevators, Lily's hand still trustingly in his, Marcus felt his phone buzz relentlessly in his pocket. The board meeting. The merger. The empire that demanded every minute of every day. For the first time in years, he let it ring. Mr. Caldwell? Lily looked up at him, her voice small again. Are you a dad? The question landed like a punch. Yes, he managed. I have a daughter. She's a little older than you. Does she like you? Out of the mouths of children came the truths adults spent lifetimes avoiding. Victoria, walking beside them, had the grace to pretend she wasn't listening, though Marcus caught the slight softening in her expression, as if she'd just discovered something unexpected about the cold billionaire in the marble lobby. I don't know, Marcus answered honestly, surprised by his own candor. I hope so, but I haven't been very good at showing her. Lily considered this with the serious contemplation only children possess. You should probably tell her. My dad tells me he loves me every single day, even when he's sad. Especially when he's sad, Marcus thought, understanding now the weight this little girl was carrying without even knowing it. Her father loved her so much that he was facing whatever nightmare waited in that hospital alone, trying to shield her from it for just a little longer. The elevator doors opened. As they stepped inside, Marcus caught his reflection in the mirrored walls. A powerful man brought to his knees by a child's simple request. And standing beside him, Victoria Chun, whose eyes held a story of her own. Some shadow of understanding that suggested she knew what it meant to lose what mattered most. But it was Lily's reflection he couldn't look away from. Hopeful, trusting, unaware that the man holding her hand was learning, step by step, what it meant to finally show up. The question was, would he remember this lesson when the elevator doors opened again, and real life demanded he become Marcus Caldwell, CEO, once more? The hallway on the 8th floor stretched endlessly before them, hushed and carpeted in deep burgundy. Room 847 sat at the far end, its door closed like a secret. Victoria knocked softly. Once. Twice. Mr. Morrison? This is guest relations. Your daughter is here with me. Silence answered. Lily's hand tightened around Marcus's fingers. Why isn't he opening the door? Before Marcus could respond, Victoria's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and her face went pale. Security just flagged something. A guest reported seeing a man matching Mr. Morrison's description collapse in the stairwell on the 7th floor about 10 minutes ago. The words hung in the air like smoke. What? Lily's voice cracked. What does that mean? Marcus didn't think. He simply moved. Victoria, take Lily to the lobby. Call an ambulance. Now. But Lily's grip became iron. No, I'm not leaving. That's my dad. Marcus knelt again, his hands on her shoulders. Lily, listen to me. You promised. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You promised we'd find him together. And there it was, the moment that demanded a choice. The safe decision was obvious. Let Victoria handle it, return to his meeting, retreat into the world of numbers and strategy where emotion couldn't touch him. That's what the old Marcus would have done. That's what Sophie had learned to expect. Instead, he looked at Victoria. Which stairwell? Mr. Caldwell, you can't. Which stairwell? Something in his voice made her decision for her. Southeast corner. But I'm coming with you. They ran. Victoria led them through a service corridor, her heels abandoned somewhere behind them, moving with the efficiency of someone who knew every corner of this building. Lily kept pace between them, her small legs pumping, her backpack bouncing against her shoulders. The stairwell door burst open under Marcus's hand. David Morrison lay crumpled on the landing between floors, his phone shattered beside him, his face ashen. But his eyes were open, conscious, and when he saw Lily, relief and anguish warred across his features. Lily, no, sweetheart, you shouldn't. He tried to sit up and gasped, clutching his chest. Dad! Lily broke free and threw herself at him. Don't move him, Victoria commanded, already on her phone. Ambulance is 2 minutes out. Mr. Morrison, can you hear me? Do you have a heart condition? David's laugh was bitter and breathless. No. Panic attack. I'm fine. His eyes found Marcus's, and in them was a desperation that transcended words. Please, don't let them take her. Not yet. Marcus understood immediately. Whatever David had learned at that hospital, whatever impossible choice he was facing, he wasn't ready for his daughter to know. He was trying to buy her one more day of innocence, one more evening of believing her father was invincible. What's happening? Lily's voice was small, frightened. Dad, why were you in the stairs? You said you were checking us in. Victoria moved closer to Marcus, her voice low. He lied to his daughter. He went to the hospital alone. He was trying to protect her, Marcus whispered back. By collapsing in a stairwell? Victoria's eyes flashed. That's not protection. That's fear, Marcus finished quietly. That's what fear looks like when you're terrified of breaking your child's heart. Their eyes met, and something passed between them. An understanding, a recognition of shared pain. Victoria's expression softened almost imperceptibly, revealing a crack in her own professional armor. You know something about that, she said. It wasn't a question. Before Marcus could respond, paramedics burst through the stairwell door. The space erupted into controlled chaos, equipment, questions, gentle hands easing David onto a stretcher. Lily clung to her father's hand, refusing to let go, her knuckles white with determination. Sir, we need to transport him now, a paramedic said. I'm going with him, Lily declared. Sweetie, you can't ride in the ambulance. Then I'll follow, Marcus heard himself say. Every eye turned to him. I'll drive her to the hospital. She won't be alone. David's eyes locked onto Marcus's, searching, assessing. Here was a stranger making promises about his most precious thing. Who are you? Someone who understands what it means to let fear make your decisions. Marcus's voice was steady. And someone who's trying to learn how to do better. A long moment passed. David's hand tightened around Lily's. Lily, go with him. I'll see you at the hospital in 5 minutes, okay? Promise. I promise, baby girl. As the paramedics carried David away, Lily turned to Marcus, her face streaked with tears. Why did he lie to me? Marcus knelt for the 3rd time that day, and found himself speaking truths he'd never admitted to his own daughter. Because sometimes loving someone means being more afraid than you've ever been in your life. And sometimes that fear makes us do the wrong thing for the right reasons. That doesn't make sense. No, Marcus agreed. It doesn't, but it's human. Victoria appeared beside them, her composure restored but her eyes still holding that flicker of something deeper. My shift ends in 20 minutes. I'll drive you both to the hospital. Marcus looked at her, surprised. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. Her gaze was direct, unflinching. But I'm choosing to. Just like you chose to kneel down in that lobby instead of walking away. Sometimes the right thing isn't convenient, Mr. Caldwell. Sometimes it just needs to be done. In that moment, Marcus saw her clearly for the first time. Not just a hotel employee, but a woman who understood that courage looked like showing up when it was difficult, staying when it was easier to leave. His phone buzzed again. The board meeting had started without him. His assistant had sent 7 increasingly frantic messages. Somewhere in a conference room, His empire was making decisions that would ripple through markets worldwide. And for the first time in 15 years, Marcus Caldwell didn't care. He took Lily's hand. "Let's go find your dad." As they walked toward the parking garage, Victoria beside them and the world Marcus had built crumbling somewhere behind him, one thought crystallized with perfect clarity. His daughter Sophie was only 2 hours away. She thought he never showed up. She thought his company would always matter more than she did. But what if she was wrong? What if today, finally, he could prove her wrong? The incident had launched more than just an emergency. It had launched a reckoning with every choice Marcus had made, every moment he'd chosen power over presence. And standing between him and redemption was one terrified little girl who still believed that showing up meant everything. Marcus caught them at the elevator doors. "Wait," he was breathing hard, his carefully constructed composure shattered. "I'm not leaving." Victoria turned, Lily's hand still firmly in hers. Her expression was unreadable. "What about your daughter's recital?" "I called someone else. A friend who lives nearby. He'll record it, be there for her." The words tasted like ash even as he spoke them. "It's not perfect, but it's the best you can do when you're trying to be in two places at once." Victoria's voice held an edge he couldn't quite identify. Not quite approval, not quite condemnation. "Must be exhausting, always splitting yourself down the middle." The elevator doors opened. They stepped inside, the small space suddenly claustrophobic with unspoken tension. Lily looked up at Marcus, confused. "Why didn't you go to your daughter?" The question was innocent, devastating. Marcus knelt down, it was becoming a habit, and met her eyes. "Because I made you a promise first. And I'm trying to learn that promises mean something. My dad says promises are sacred." Lily's voice was solemn, too old for her years. "He says you should only make them if you're absolutely, positively sure you can keep them." Your dad is a better man than me, Marcus thought. The elevator climbed. 5th floor. 6th. 7th. Each second stretched taut as wire. Victoria stood with her arms crossed, staring at the glowing numbers. "That friend of yours. Will he really make sure she's okay? He's her godfather. He'll be there." "That's not what I asked." She turned to face him fully, and in the harsh fluorescent light, he could see exhaustion written in the fine lines around her eyes, in the tension of her jaw. "Will he make sure she's okay? Or will he just be another body in the audience taking video she'll never watch because it reminds her that her real father chose something else?" Marcus felt anger flare. "You don't get to judge me. You don't know. I know exactly." Her voice dropped low, fierce. "My father missed my high school graduation because a client needed him. He missed my wedding because a deal was closing. He missed my mother's funeral because—" She stopped abruptly, her control slipping for just a moment before she caught it. "He always had reasons. Good reasons. Important reasons. And every single one of them taught me that I wasn't reason enough." The elevator dinged. 8th floor. "I'm sorry," Marcus said quietly. "I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm not telling you for sympathy." Victoria stepped out into the corridor, Lily between them. "I'm telling you so you understand what you're teaching your daughter every time you make her second choice. You're teaching her that love has conditions, that she has to earn your presence, that she's not quite worth it." "That's not." Marcus followed them, his voice rising. "I love my daughter. Everything I do is for her. Everything you do is for yourself." Victoria spun around, her composure finally cracking. "You build empires and close deals and make millions, and you tell yourself it's all for her future. But what she needs isn't your money, Mr. Caldwell. It's your now, your attention, your time. The parts of you that you guard like state secrets, because giving them away feels too much like losing control." They'd stopped in the middle of the hallway. A nurse pushed a cart past them, eyeing them curiously. Marcus's hands were shaking. "You think you know me after an hour? You think you understand? I understand that you're standing here defending yourself to me instead of being with your daughter." Victoria's voice softened, the anger draining away to reveal something sadder underneath. "And I understand that tomorrow, when you go back to your life, this will be just another story you tell yourself about the time you almost chose differently." "That's not fair." "Fair?" She laughed, sharp and bitter. "My father died thinking his work mattered more than we did. He died believing he'd made the right choices. And you know what? Maybe he did, by his metrics. His company thrived. His legacy lives on. But we don't speak at his grave. His grandchildren don't know his name. And the empire he built couldn't fill the emptiness of that church." Lily tugged Victoria's hand. The emergency room is that way. I see the signs. They walked in silence, Victoria's words hanging between them like smoke. Marcus's mind was a war zone. Jennifer's voice telling him Sophie had stopped believing. Lily's small hand trusting him completely, Victoria's wounds mirroring his own daughter's future. The emergency room was chaos controlled by routine. Fluorescent lights, antiseptic smell, the steady beep of monitors. "I'm looking for David Morrison," Victoria told the nurse at the desk, her professional mask sliding back into place. "His daughter needs to see him." The nurse checked her computer, frowning. "He's still being evaluated. It'll be at least another 30 minutes before." 30 minutes. Lily's voice cracked. "But he promised 5. "I'm sorry, sweetie, but the doctors need to make sure he's okay first." Lily turned to Marcus, her eyes swimming with tears and accusation. "You said we'd find him. You promised." And there it was, the moment Victoria had warned him about. The moment a child learned that even promises made with good intentions could shatter against reality. "We did find him," Marcus said gently. "He's here. He's safe. The doctors are helping him. But I can't see him. What if he needs me?" Marcus looked helplessly at Victoria, searching for guidance, for some way to make this right. But her expression was closed now, distant, as if she'd already written him off as another disappointing man with good excuses. "Sometimes," Victoria said to Lily, kneeling down beside her, "the people we love need things we can't give them right away. Sometimes keeping them safe means waiting, even when waiting hurts. But I don't want to wait. I want my dad." "I know." Victoria's voice was gentle now, all her earlier fire directed at Marcus gone. "Tell you what, I'll talk to the nurses. Maybe we can at least get an update, okay?" As Victoria walked back to the desk, Marcus pulled out his phone. 3 missed calls from Jennifer. 1 text from his friend. Asterisk at the recital. "Sophie asked where you were." "What do I tell her?" Asterisk. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. What could he tell her? That he was with another child, trying to be the father he'd never learned to be for her? "Mr. Caldwell?" Lily's small voice interrupted his spiral. "Are you sad?" He looked down at her, this child who'd somehow become his mirror. "Yeah, kiddo. I'm sad. Because you're missing your daughter's thing? Because I don't know how to be everywhere I'm supposed to be. And every choice I make feels like I'm failing someone." Lily considered this with the seriousness of someone far older than 7. "My dad told me once that you can't split yourself in half. He said you can only be where you are, and you have to make that enough. Be where you are." Such simple advice. So impossibly difficult. Victoria returned, her expression troubled. "David's stable, but they want to keep him overnight for observation. The doctor thinks it was a severe panic attack, possibly triggered by," she glanced at Lily, "by stress. They want to talk to him about anxiety management." "Can I see him now?" Lily asked. "Soon." They said 10 more minutes. Marcus's phone buzzed. Jennifer again. Asterisk Sophie's crying backstage. "This is on you, Marcus. All of it, asterisk." The words were knives. "You should call her," Victoria said quietly, reading his face again. "Your daughter. Call her. And say what?" "The truth." She met his eyes, and for the first time since the parking garage, he saw something other than judgment. He saw understanding, painful and hard one. "Tell her you're sorry. Tell her you're trying. Tell her she matters. It won't fix everything, but it's a start. What if it's too late? For her? Maybe. Maybe not." Victoria's voice dropped. "But if you don't try, you'll end up like my father, successful, accomplished, and utterly alone. Is that the legacy you want?" Before Marcus could answer, a doctor emerged from the double doors. "Family of David Morrison?" Lily ran forward. "That's my dad. Is he okay?" The doctor smiled, kind and tired. "He's going to be fine. But sweetheart, before you see him, I need to talk to you about something important." And in that moment, watching Lily's face transform from relief to fear, Marcus understood that some truths couldn't be postponed any longer. Just like some choices couldn't be unmade. The question was, would he learn from this child's courage to face the truth with his own daughter? The doctor's words fell like stones into still water. "Lily, your father wanted me to tell you something. He's been sick for a while now, but he's getting better. The treatments are working." Lily's face crumpled with confusion. "Treatments? But Dad's not sick. He's just tired sometimes. He didn't want to worry you," the doctor said gently. "But he's been coming here for chemotherapy." The panic attack happened because he got some very good news today. The cancer is in remission. He was so overwhelmed with relief that his body just reacted. The hallway tilted. Cancer. Remission. Good news disguised as collapse. Marcus felt his chest constrict. This whole time, he'd assumed the worst, that David was receiving a death sentence, that Lily would lose her father. But it was the opposite. David had been carrying the weight of his illness alone, protecting his daughter from the terror. And when he finally learned he might survive, the joy had broken him. "So my dad's okay?" Lily whispered. "He's really okay? He's going to be okay. You can see him now." Lily disappeared through the doors without looking back. Marcus stood frozen, Victoria beside him, both of them processing the revelation. "He was protecting her," Victoria said softly. "All those lies, all that fear. He was trying to give her a childhood, even if it meant carrying the nightmare alone." Marcus thought of his own daughter, of the lies he'd told himself for years. "I'm working for her future. I'm building her security. She'll understand when she's older." But weren't those just more elegant versions of David's fear? More sophisticated ways of saying, "I'm too terrified to show you who I really am. I've been doing it all wrong," Marcus heard himself say. The admission came from somewhere deep, somewhere he'd locked away years ago. Everything. "Sophie doesn't need my money or my empire. She needs you," Victoria finished. She turned to face him, and her eyes were no longer hard. They were wounded, understanding, seeing him completely. "She needs the man who kneels on marble floors. Not the CEO. Just you. What if that's not enough? What if I'm not? Marcus." She said his name for the first time, not his title, and it felt like intimacy. "You canceled a merger to keep a promise to a stranger's child. You're standing in a hospital when you could be anywhere else. You're here. That's not nothing." He looked at her, truly looked, and saw past the professional mask to the woman underneath. Someone who'd been abandoned by ambition too many times. Someone who'd learned to protect herself by expecting disappointment. Someone who was choosing, despite every instinct, to see possibility in him. "Your father," Marcus said quietly. "When did you realize it was too late?" "At his funeral, when I looked around and saw all his business partners and none of his family crying." Her voice broke slightly. "When I realized he'd built a life where success mattered more than love, and everyone came to honor the success. But nobody came to mourn the man. The truth settled between them like a bridge." "I don't want that," Marcus whispered. "I don't want Sophie standing at my funeral someday, surrounded by colleagues, wondering why she doesn't feel anything. Then change it." Victoria stepped closer, close enough that he could see gold flecks in her dark eyes, close enough that the space between them felt charged. "Right now. Today. Call your daughter and tell her everything you've never said. Risk her anger. Risk her rejection. Risk being honest for once in your carefully controlled life. What if she doesn't forgive me? What if she does?" The question hung in the air, radical and terrifying. Marcus pulled out his phone with shaking hands. Sophie's number was right there, one touch away, separated from him by nothing but years of cowardice. "I'm scared," he admitted. Victoria's hand covered his, warm and steady. "Good. That means it matters." Their eyes met, and something shifted. Some barrier between strangers collapsing into recognition. Two people shaped by absent fathers, standing at the precipice of different choices. "Be where you are," Victoria said softly, echoing Lily's wisdom. "Right here, right now. That's how you start." Marcus pressed dial. The phone rang once. Twice. Then Sophie's voice, small and hurt. "Dad." And Marcus Caldwell, who'd negotiated billion-dollar deals without flinching, found himself speechless before the one person whose forgiveness he needed most. Everything he'd believed about success, about priorities, about what made a life worth living, it was all shattering. The only question was, could he build something true from the ruins? "Dad." Sophie's voice came again, sharper now. "Are you there, or did you but dial me again?" The skepticism in her tone, the practiced disappointment of a child who'd learned not to hope, broke something in Marcus. "I'm here, Sophie. I'm so sorry. I wanted to be at your recital. I tried." "You always try, Dad. That's the problem. You try and you fail, and then you say sorry and nothing changes." Her voice was steady, controlled, 8 years old going on 80. "Mom said you'd do this. She said you'd promise and then disappear. I told her you wouldn't. I defended you. Sophie, please. I'm done, Dad. I'm just done." The line went dead. Marcus stood frozen, the phone still pressed to his ear, the dial tone a flatline. She hung up, he whispered. She just... Victoria's hand was still on his, but her expression had changed. Closed. Distant. You should go to her. Right now. Drive there. Show up. Don't let this be the end. I can't just leave. Lily needs. Lily has her father. He's alive. He's recovering. Victoria stepped back, severing the connection between them. Your daughter has no one. And if you don't go to her right now, you'll prove that she was right to give up on you. Come with me, Marcus said suddenly desperately. Help me figure out what to say. You understand this better than. No, the word was final. I can't fix this for you, Marcus. I can't be the reason you finally choose your daughter. You have to want it yourself, not because I'm standing here telling you to. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. Victoria's voice cracked, all her carefully controlled emotions spilling out. Don't you see? I can't be part of this. I can't be the woman who helps a man learn to love his daughter. I've already been that person once. I spent years trying to make my father care, trying to be good enough, trying to earn what should have been freely given. And I won't do it again. Not for you. Not for anyone. Marcus reached for her, but she backed away. If you stay here, she said, her voice breaking, you lose Sophie forever. If you go, you're choosing to abandon a promise to a 7-year-old who trusted you. Either way, you prove that I was right about you. Either way, you're exactly who I thought you were. Then what am I supposed to do? I don't know. Tears streaked her face now, her professional mask shattered completely. I don't have the answer, Marcus. Nobody does. That's what my father never understood. There is no right choice when you've built a life where everything demands all of you. Behind them, the emergency room doors opened. Lily emerged, her hand in her father's. David looked pale, weak but alive, smiling down at his daughter like she was the sun itself. Mr. Caldwell? Lily called out. I wanted to say thank you for. She stopped, seeing his face, seeing Victoria's tears, understanding, with the terrible intuition of children, that something was breaking. Are you leaving? Lily asked quietly. Marcus looked at her, at Victoria, at his phone screen still showing Sophie's name. 3 people, 3 needs. No way to satisfy them all. I don't know, he whispered, and the honesty felt like surrender. David approached slowly, reading the room. Lily told me what you did. How you stayed with her, helped her find me. He extended his hand. I don't know what's happening here, but whatever it is, thank you. You didn't have to care. Most people wouldn't have. The gratitude was unbearable. I have to go, Marcus said abruptly. I'm sorry, He turned and ran. Down the corridor, past the nurse's station, through the automatic doors into the parking garage where the fluorescent lights hummed their indifferent song. His car was where he'd left it. His empire was 1 phone call away. Sophie was 2 hours north, probably crying in her mother's arms, learning that her father's promises meant nothing. And Victoria was back in that hospital, watching him run, having every belief about unreliable men confirmed. Marcus sat in his car, hands on the steering wheel, unable to move. His phone buzzed. A text from his assistant. The board wants an emergency meeting tomorrow morning. They're threatening to vote you out if you don't explain your absence today. Another text from Jennifer. Sophie locked herself in her room. She won't talk to me. Whatever you did, Marcus, I hope it was worth it. One more, from an unknown number. Victoria. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those things. You were trying. That counts for something. But I can't watch another man choose wrong and call it sacrifice. Please understand. The parking garage was empty, cold, echoing. Marcus Caldwell had built an empire on decisive action, on knowing exactly what to do in every crisis. Now, for the first time in his life, he had no idea what came next. And the worst part, every choice felt like failure. Every path led to someone's disappointment. Every door he opened meant closing another forever. The question wasn't whether he could fix this. The question was whether there was anything left to fix at all. Marcus sat in the darkness of his car for 15 minutes. Then he did something he hadn't done in 15 years. He stopped thinking and started feeling. The answer came not from strategy or calculation, but from a memory. Sophie at 3 years old, crying because her favorite stuffed elephant was lost. He'd been on a conference call, had waved her away impatiently. She'd found it herself eventually, stopped crying, stopped asking him for help. He'd thought that was growth, independence. Now he understood it was grief. She'd learned she was alone. Marcus started the car and drove. Not north towards Sophie's recital, and not back to his empty hotel. He drove 2 blocks to a 24-hour drugstore, bought a prepaid phone card, and sat in the parking lot making calls. First, to his assistant. "I'm taking a leave of absence. Effective immediately. No debate." Second, to his attorney. "Draw up papers giving Jennifer full custody. No fight. Whatever she wants." Third, to Jennifer herself. "I know I'm too late for the recital. I know I've been too late for everything. But I'm 2 hours away and I'm coming. I'll sleep in my car outside if I have to. I'll wait all night. But I need Sophie to know that this time, I'm not leaving. Not until she lets me explain. Not until she tells me to go." Jennifer was silent for a long moment. "Marcus, what happened to you?" "I met someone who showed me what I've been doing to our daughter. And I can't do it anymore. If you disappoint her again, I won't, even if it takes days. Even if she slams the door in my face. I'm showing up, Jennifer." Finally, he hung up and sat with his hands shaking on the wheel. Then he drove back to the hospital. Victoria was in the waiting room, sitting alone, her head in her hands. She looked up when he entered, confusion and something else, something like hope, flickering across her face. "I thought you left," she whispered. "I did. For about 15 minutes. Marcus sat beside her, close but not touching. "Then I realized something. You asked me what I was supposed to do. And I've been asking the same question my whole life. How do I be everywhere at once? How do I satisfy everyone? How do I never fail?" "Marcus, but that's the wrong question. The question isn't how to be everywhere. It's where do I need to be? Who needs the version of me that only I can give?" He turned to face her. "Sophie needs her father. Not the CEO. Not the provider. Just her dad, showing up consistently, even when it's hard. Even when I fail. Especially when I fail." Victoria's eyes glistened. "So you're going to her?" "Yes. But first I needed to come back here. Because I needed you to know that what you said, about not being able to watch another man choose wrong. You were right to say it. You were honest when I needed honesty. And I'm not asking you to fix me or save me or be part of my redemption story." "Then what are you asking?" Marcus took a breath. "I'm asking if, when I'm done fighting for my daughter, which might take weeks or months or years, you'd consider getting coffee with a man who's learning that showing up is harder and more important than success ever was." A tear slipped down Victoria's cheek. "Why would I do that?" "Because tonight, you showed me that love isn't about grand gestures or perfect choices. It's about being honest, being present, being willing to fail and try again." He finally reached for her hand. "And because I think you've been protecting yourself from disappointment for so long that you've forgotten what it's like when someone actually shows up." Victoria was quiet. Then, "I don't date men with children. I understand. I don't date men who are still figuring out how to be present. That's fair. And I definitely don't date billionaire CEOs who make promises they can't keep." Marcus nodded, starting to pull his hand away. Victoria held on. "But I might consider having coffee with a man who canceled a merger to keep a promise to a stranger's daughter. A man who came back when he could have just driven away. A man who's terrified and honest about it." Their eyes met. "I'm about to spend the next few months being the worst version of myself," Marcus warned. "Awkward, failing, trying to reconnect with a daughter who doesn't trust me." "Good," Victoria said softly. "I'm tired of polished. I want real." In the fluorescent waiting room, surrounded by the sick and worried, Marcus Caldwell finally understood what he'd been missing. Not perfection. Not control. Just the courage to be human. "I have to go now," he said. "To Sophie." "I know." Victoria squeezed his hand once, then let go. "Go fight for her. Don't stop until she believes you." Marcus stood, turned, took 3 steps toward the door. Then Victoria's voice. "Marcus, when you're ready for that coffee, I'll be here." He looked back at her, this woman who'd held up a mirror and forced him to see himself clearly. "Thank you," he said, "for not letting me run. For being honest. For seeing you?" Victoria smiled, sad and hopeful. "That's what showing up looks like. Now go do the same for your daughter." Marcus walked out of the hospital into the night, got in his car, and drove north. Toward the hardest conversation of his life. Toward the daughter he'd failed 1,000 times. Toward the only choice that ever really mattered. And for the first time in 15 years, he wasn't running from fear. He was running toward love. Sophie's house was dark except for one window on the second floor. Marcus parked across the street and texted Jennifer. I'm here. Can I see her? The response came immediately. She said no. She said if you really cared, you would have been at the recital. Marcus stared at the glowing window. His daughter was up there, awake, hurting because of him. He got out of the car. Jennifer opened the door before he could knock, her expression wary. Marcus, she doesn't want to see you. I know. Can I wait here? For how long? As long as it takes. Jennifer studied him, looking for the catch, the angle, the moment he'd check his watch and declare this wasn't worth his time. You'll just leave when you get bored. No, Marcus said quietly. I won't. Something in his voice must have convinced her, because she stepped aside. Marcus sat on the bottom stair, looking up at Sophie's closed door. Jennifer watched from the doorway, arms crossed, protective. Sophie, Marcus called up. I know you don't want to talk to me. I don't blame you. But I'm going to sit here until you do. Even if it takes all night. Even if it takes a week. Silence. I'm not leaving, Sophie. Not this time. An hour passed. Then 2. Marcus's phone buzzed relentlessly, his board, his investors, his empire crumbling in real time. He turned it off. Jennifer brought him coffee. She's never seen you like this. Like what? Still. Present. Not running towards something more important. At midnight, Sophie's door cracked open. Her small face appeared, eyes red and swollen. You're really still here? Her voice was small, disbelieving. I'm really still here. Why? Marcus stood slowly, carefully. Because I finally understand something. I've spent your whole life thinking I was building your future. Making money so you'd be secure. Working so you'd have everything. His voice cracked. But what you needed was just me. And I was too scared to give you that. Scared of what? Scared that just me, without the success, without the achievements, wouldn't be enough. Scared that if you really knew me, you'd be disappointed. Tears slipped down his face. So I kept building bigger things, hoping eventually they'd be impressive enough that you'd be proud. But all I did was teach you that you weren't worth my time. Sophie's chin trembled. You made me feel invisible. I know. Marcus took one step closer. And I'm so sorry. You were never invisible, Sophie. You were terrifying. Because you're the only person in the world whose opinion of me actually matters. And I was too much of a coward to risk failing you. But you did fail me. Over and over. You're right. I did. He knelt on the stairs at her level now. And I probably will again because I'm learning how to be present and I'm going to mess up. But Sophie, I promise you, every time I fail from now on, I'll show up and own it. I'll sit on these stairs. I'll wait outside your school. I'll be inconvenient and persistent and here. Because you deserve a father who fights for you, not one who runs toward easier things. Sophie was crying now, torn between anger and hope. Tonight, a little girl trusted me to help her, Marcus continued. And in helping her, I realized what I've been doing to you. She made me promise to find her dad, and I kept that promise. But I've broken 1,000 promises to you. So here's my last promise, Sophie. I'm done choosing anything over you. The company, the money, the success. None of it matters if you grow up thinking you weren't enough to make me stay. What about your big meeting tomorrow? I resigned. Sophie's eyes went wide. You what? I took a leave of absence. Maybe permanently. I don't know yet. But I know that no boardroom is more important than this staircase. No deal is more valuable than you believing in me again. The silence stretched impossibly long. Then Sophie said the bravest thing. I don't know if I can forgive you yet. That's okay. I'm really angry at you. You should be. And I don't trust you. I'll earn it back. However long it takes. Sophie wiped her eyes. You'll probably mess up. Definitely. And I'm going to be mean to you sometimes because I'm mad. I can handle it. She studied him, this 8-year-old girl who'd learned too young that adults made beautiful promises and ugly choices. Then she took one step down the stairs. Then another. Then she was in his arms, sobbing into his shoulder, her small fists pounding his chest. Anger and relief and hope and grief all tangled together. Don't leave again, she whispered. Please don't leave again. I won't, Marcus promised. I'm right here. I'm finally right here. Jennifer watched from below, tears streaming down her face. And in that moment, holding his daughter while she cried out years of disappointment, Marcus Caldwell understood that he hadn't lost his empire. He'd found his kingdom, the one that had been waiting for him all along. The one that had always been worth everything. 3 months later, Marcus sat in a coffee shop waiting. He'd been early. a habit he was still getting used to. His calendar now had exactly 5 things on it. Sophie's soccer practices, Tuesday dinners with her, weekend custody visits, his new consulting work, limited to 20 hours a week, and today's appointment. The door chimed. Victoria walked in, wrapped in a burgundy coat against the autumn wind, her hair loose around her shoulders instead of pulled back in her professional twist. She saw him and smiled, cautious, real, beautiful. "You're actually here," she said, sliding into the chair across from him. "I'm actually here," Marcus confirmed. "And I've been here for 15 minutes, which is new for me. How's Sophie?" "Still mad at me sometimes. But she laughs more now. She tells me about her day without me having to ask 3 times. He pulled out his phone, showing a picture. Sophie covered in mud after her soccer game, grinning wildly, giving the camera 2 thumbs up. She made me stay for the whole game. Even the overtime. Even the team pizza after. Victoria's expression softened. "And how was the whole game?" "Long, confusing. I don't understand offsides." Marcus grinned. "And absolutely perfect. I didn't check my phone once." "Not once." "Well, once. But only to take pictures." Victoria laughed, and the sound loosened something in Marcus's chest that had been tight for years. "What about the company?" she asked. "The board replaced me. New CEO started last month." He waited for the pain, the regret. Found only relief. "Meridian Technologies will be fine without me. Better, probably. Turns out I was holding them back by needing to control everything." "And you're okay with that?" Marcus considered. "I'm learning to be. I consult for 3 small companies now. I work from home. I make a fraction of what I used to make. And I've never been happier." He paused. "Well, almost never." Victoria raised an eyebrow. "Almost. I've been thinking about this coffee date for 3 months. Wondering if you'd actually show up. Wondering if you'd decide that a work in progress wasn't worth the risk." "Marcus, let me finish." He leaned forward. "I'm not the same man you met in that hotel lobby. I'm better in some ways, more present, more honest. But I'm also more uncertain, more humble, more aware of how badly I can mess things up. If you're looking for someone who has it all figured out, that's not me anymore." Victoria reached across the table, her hand covering his. "Good, because I'm not looking for perfect. I'm looking for present. I can do present. Can you do patient? Because I have trust issues with successful men who make promises. I'm not successful anymore. Just trying." Marcus turned his hand over, fingers intertwining with hers. "And yes, I can do patient. I sat on a staircase for 4 hours waiting for my daughter to talk to me. I can wait for you too. What if I hurt you? What if I expect you to fail and push you away? Then I'll show up anyway. I'll be inconveniently persistent. I learned from the best." Victoria smiled, blinking back tears. "That little girl in the lobby, Lily. Do you know what happened to her?" Marcus pulled out his phone again, showing her an email. "Her dad sent this last week." Victoria read aloud. "Mr. Caldwell, Lily talks about you all the time. She calls you the kind man who kept his promise. My treatments are going well, and I've learned something from my daughter's faith in you. Sometimes strangers show us how to be better. Thank you for showing up when you didn't have to. We're both still learning that lesson. David, you changed their lives," Victoria whispered. "They changed mine first." Marcus squeezed her hand. "You changed mine. That night, when you told me about your father, when you were honest about what I was becoming, that was the moment everything shifted. I was cruel. You were honest. And I needed it." They sat in comfortable silence, hands linked across the table. 2 people learning that healing looked like showing up imperfectly, consistently, bravely. "So," Victoria said finally, "what happens now?" Marcus smiled. Now I finish my coffee. Then I pick Sophie up from school. Then I take you to dinner tomorrow night, if you'll let me. Then I keep showing up day after day, until you believe that I'm not going anywhere. And if I already believe you, then I show up anyway. Because that's what love looks like." Victoria's breath caught. "Love. Eventually," Marcus amended. "If you'll give me the chance to get there. If you'll be patient with a man who's still learning that the best things in life can't be acquired or achieved, only received with an open heart." Victoria stood, pulling him up with her. "Walk me back to work. I have time. You always say that now. Because now it's true." They walked out into the autumn afternoon, hand in hand. 2 people who'd been shaped by absence learning the architecture of presence. Marcus's phone buzzed, Sophie, texting a string of emojis and a message. Don't forget you promised to help with my math homework tonight. He showed Victoria, who laughed. Are you actually good at math? Terrible. But I'll sit next to her and try. That's what matters. That evening, in Sophie's room surrounded by textbooks and terrible dad jokes, Marcus looked at his daughter's face, concentrated, trusting, finally believing he would stay, and felt the truth settle into his bones. He'd spent 15 years building an empire that crumbled in an afternoon. But in 3 months, he'd built something unshakable. A relationship with his daughter, the beginning of love with a woman who saw him clearly, and a life measured not by acquisitions but by moments. Sophie looked up from her homework. Dad. Yeah. I'm glad you came back. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. Outside, the city hummed with ambition and urgency, people climbing ladders and chasing success. Inside, in a small room with terrible math problems and a daughter who laughed at his jokes, Marcus Caldwell had finally arrived. Not at the top of the world, but at the center of the one that mattered. Home. Before you go, I hope Marcus and Sophie's journey touched your heart the way it touched mine while writing it. Sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that remind us what truly matters. Not the empires we build, but the people we show up for. I'd absolutely love to hear your thoughts. Did this story resonate with you? Have you ever had to make a choice between success and presence? Or maybe you know someone who needs to hear Marcus's lesson. Drop your reflections in the comments below. I read every single one, and your stories often inspire my next tales. And here's my heartfelt ask. If this story moved you, please hit that subscribe button. When you subscribe, you become part of our growing family of story lovers, and you'll be notified the moment a new story drops. I pour my heart into each narrative, crafting tales that I hope will make you feel, think, and see the world a little differently. Every subscription tells me that these stories matter, that they're reaching hearts and making a difference. It's how I know to keep creating, keep sharing, keep believing in the power of a well-told tale. So subscribe, share this with someone who needs it, and I'll see you in the next story. Until then, remember, the best things in life aren't acquired. They're received with an open heart. Stay present, stay kind, and I'll see you soon.